Hello and welcome to our Make It in Germany webinar, focusing today on the topic Vocational Education and Training in Germany. With us today is the expert Dr. Henrik Voss from the Zentralverband des Deutschen Handwerks. Hello, Mr. Voss. Nice to have you today. He will focus in detail on the training system in Germany today. My name is Alexandra Köbler from Make It in Germany, and with us today is also my colleague Katharina Obantik. She's in charge of the chat and the technical support today. And I would say, please, Katharina, start with the technical advice so we can have a smooth start afterwards.
Okay, thank you very much, and a warm welcome from my side. I hope you all can hear us. If not, make sure you have selected computer audio in your GoToWebinar user panel. If you have further problems, you can switch it off and turn it on again. This will solve some of the problems. If you have further problems, you can type me your question in the chat. You can see here the screenshot where you can type in your question, and don't be confused. Only the moderators of this webinar can see your question. And under handouts, you can download today's presentation. So we will collect all your questions in the chat and we will answer them at the end of the webinar. So the stage is yours.
Thank you. I'm starting with the agenda straight away. So first of all, I will present you the portal Make It in Germany briefly with the information and services it offers. Then we briefly go into the topic of visa and residence permit for vocational training in Germany, and then the stage is Mr. Voss's with the vocational education and training in Germany. And in the end, we'll have the question and answer session. So let's start. First of all, maybe we start with a short question that I want you to, or I would ask you to reply to, which is, are you familiar with the official website Make It in Germany? Yes or no? I can see that 35% has voted already, 50%. I'm waiting a few more seconds. 65%, maybe we get a few more replies. 77, 80. Okay, then I'm closing and show you the result. So 52% know the portal already and 48 don't know it yet. That's nice. Hello, everyone who doesn't know us yet. We hope you learn a lot of new things today. Okay, I hope you can see my screen again. Okay, perfect. So Make It in Germany. What is Make It in Germany? It's the German government's information portal for qualified professionals. The project started in June 2012, and the website is available in 4 languages: German, English, Spanish, and French. And we also offer 14 other languages with brief information, and we call them landing pages. Our page has up to date 32 or over 32 million users worldwide. As you can see down here on the slide, there's a link. So after you've downloaded this presentation and also Mr. Voss's presentation, you can then follow the links after the webinar. So all the information we give you today, you can then after the webinar, follow them on your own. Okay, so what does Make It in Germany offer? The portal offers binding and reliable information, vacant job listings. We are also a partner for companies, or we offer information for companies, and we also offer personal advice. But what does that mean? So which topics do we cover? For example, we cover topics like job search and sought after occupational fields, studying and vocational training in Germany, entry and visa regulations, recognition of foreign qualifications, learning German. We provide success stories and a lot more. So on the next slides, I will show you a few highlights, so to say, of the website that you can feel free to try out on your own. So as I said, down there you find the link For example, here to our quick check, it's an interactive tool which helps you with your individual first steps. So you can see on the screenshot already, you choose what matches with your situation. Probably in your case, for example, in Germany, I'd like to train, and then you can click through a path and it helps you with your first orientation. Then our website contains a world map. This is an interactive map. You can choose your home country, and then it shows you contacts of German institutions in your home country. So, for example, German embassies or Goethe institutes, and a lot more. We also offer videos, explainer videos, but also different types of videos on our YouTube channel. Here you can get inspiration for your own path to Germany, for example, or also get information on certain topics. So we try to explain it in a very understandable way, and we have also testimonials who already found their way or their path to Germany. So feel free to visit our channel and click through. Then there's very important a section on our website. It's the visa section. Here we offer an overview of the visa process. So what are the single steps that you have to do? We cover the requirements for different types of visa in there. There are different helpful materials that you can download. For example, step-by-step guides for each type of visa in the visa section, also for the visa for the purpose of vocational training, visa application forms, and so on. So it's definitely worth to have a look what we offer there. And talking about helpful material, all the PDFs and all the checklists, step-by-step guides, and so on are collected in our downloads section. So if you go to the download section, down there you can see the link. Then you can find all the additional material we have in there. And yeah, when you have visited our website, read through the sections, and still have open questions and need individual advice, then you have the chance or the opportunity to contact us through email, chat, hotline. These three options we have. The services operated by the Federal Office for Migration and Refugees and the Federal Employment Agency. And there you can ask your individual questions and you'll get support by one of the experts of our partners. Yeah, and on that slide, I have collected the different available information that are important for our topic today, vocational training. So here the links are behind the bullet points. So when you in the PDF go on there, you can follow those links. There's a section about training in Germany on our website. There's of course information in the visa section about the certain visa that you need to apply for. Coming from a non-EU state. There are checklists. We have testimonial videos of people who came to Germany to do a vocational training. Just follow through, get inspiration, get information. And this is to the portal. I want to briefly also, before we start with Mr. Voss's part, also give you information on the visa that is required or that might be required depending on from where you're coming. So generally entering Germany for, in that case, for training purposes, who needs a visa? EU and EFTA nationals don't need to apply for a visa. They have unrestricted access to the German labor market. Then we have nationals of Australia, Canada, Israel, Japan, the Republic of Korea, New Zealand, the UK, and the US. These citizens can enter Germany without an entry visa, but it is important before they can start their traineeship, they have to apply for the applicable residence permit in Germany, and of course also have to fulfill the certain requirements for it. And then we have all other nationals, and everyone who comes from any other country has to apply for a visa before arriving in Germany or before traveling to Germany, and then after the arrival, change this visa into a residence permit. Having said that, for those who have to apply for a visa, there are a few information that are important. Hang on, I need to. All right, perfect. I see my presentation again. So the basically you can apply for visa for vocational training when you have found a training company and have a training contract with them. Then you can apply for this visa after section 16a, paragraph 1, German Residence Act, or Aufenthaltsgesetz in German. And today we only talk about the in-company vocational training. There's also a school-based training, but today we focus on the in-company one. The admission to the training depends on the training company in Germany itself. Of course, there is, like almost in any case, a proof of financing needed. So in case of an in-company vocational training, you need a proof of financing, mainly in this case because it is in-company training, you will get a training salary. And so the proof of financing can be covered or partly covered by this training salary. There's also a requirement of some German language skills for this visa for vocational training. You will need to prove a level of at least B1. So either the training institution proves these language skills already. If they have not done that yet, you will need to provide a proof of your language skills at the embassy when applying for a visa. A language certificate, so to say. There's another option that you can do, which is doing a preparatory course in Germany. So you can already apply for this preparatory language course in Germany, and then come to Germany, do that preparatory language course, and then start your vocational training. This is another option if you have not the language level B1 before applying for that visa. And then when you have the visa and you enter Germany and you change this visa into the residence permit, then this residence permit will be issued for the duration of the training, and it can be extended. That means if you, for example, have an exam that you might not success with for the first time, then it is possible, if you need a little longer with your vocational training, to extend the residence permit. And then fast forward, you have done your vocational training in Germany and you're planning to stay in Germany and you would like to start a career in Germany. There are, of course, also options here. So, for example, you have finished your, successfully completed your training in your training company, but you would like to have a job in another country, company, then you can get a residence permit for up to 12 months to look for a job. So you will have 12 months time to apply at other companies for the job that you have done or the branch that you have done your vocational training in. And then after the successful job search, or if you stay at your training company and start to work there as a skilled worker, you can apply for a residence permit for taking up qualified employment. This residence permit is extendable as long as your employment relationship exists and the employment must match the content of your training. Why are we talking about this? Because actually the chances after doing a vocational training in Germany to then stay here and work as a skilled worker is quite good. The opportunities are there, and always when planning to go to another country to do training there, you should also watch in the future and plan ahead if you might want to stay in that country and follow a career. So before I give the microphone to Mr. Voss, I want to ask you another question, which is, have you already dealt with the German educational system already? Have you already read about it? Have you gathered information about it? What's your current situation? No, not yet at all. Yes, a little bit, or even intensively. We have 60% already. You're getting even faster. 71, I'm still waiting a few more seconds, but I can already see a trend. Maybe a few more replies. 75. Okay, 75% have voted. Then I will show you the results. 65% don't have or haven't been in touch with it at all. 30% or 31% a little bit, and 4% intensively. So that is actually really good. So I'm very sure that many of you and also ourselves will learn a lot of new things today. And having said that, I give the microphone to Mr. Voss.
Thank you very much, and thank you for this great opportunity for giving you some basic information about our vocational training system to this huge, impressive audience. I can see a lot more than 100 participating as spectators on this presentation. So very warm welcome to all of you all over this lovely planet in this special circumstances of time that we have. Thank you for the opportunity to share my screen, because as you might have expected, I as well prepared some slides to give you this overview. And please let me know if you can see my screen. Can anyone say yes, please?
Yes, we can see your screen. Thank you.
Wonderful. So I would like to give you an overview of the vocational education and training system, shortly VET or VET system that we have in Germany. Before that, I would like to give you one or two short slides about the crafts sector, which I am representing compared to other economic sectors we have in Germany. Then the core of the presentation will be the VET system and its quality assurance in Germany. I would like to tell you some minor remarks about how we develop our training regulations. And of course, the VET system is very complex. So after the initial training that you have, you also have the opportunity to continue your vocational training. So the crafts sector. In short, we are not the arts and craft, and we are not the historic craft sector, but crafts in Germany are over 130 different professions. Basically, if you think about it, it's everything you do with your hands. So as you can see in the pictures below, the baker is a craftsman, the car technician is a craftsman, the roofer is a craftsman. We have the crafts law in Germany that defines exactly which profession belongs to the craft sector and which profession belongs to the, we call it, industry sector. I know that in most of your countries, industry is used as an equivalent to economy, but in Germany we have two separate economic sectors, meaning one is the industry, meaning the huge companies, mass production, like Siemens, Mercedes, and so on. And as I said, the craft sector are basically the small and medium-sized companies in Germany. These are some examples for the craft sector, basically the building and construction, but also food crafts, as I said, the baker, and others even in the health and body care area, for example, the where you buy your glasses if you are not good enough in seeing things. In Germany, we have approximately 3 million companies, of which every third belongs to the craft sector. So 1 million of the 3 million companies is in the craft sector. And in these companies, there are 5 million employees. So if you quickly calculate the average employee number in a company of the craft sector in Germany is only 5. So that's what I said with small and medium-sized companies. In these 1 million companies, we train young people. We train in average almost 400,000 young people every year. This is 1/3 of all the apprentices in the dual training in Germany. Maybe so much for the craft sector. The training system is only, or let's say it in other words, there is only one training system in the vocational education area. So it's not the training system of the craft sector alone. It's also the same system in the industry. It's the same system in, for example, the agriculture sector. We in Germany, we train young people in our companies. So when the colleagues before were saying that we have a school-based vocational system as well, that's true, but only in sectors where we do not have companies. So the classical example for the sector is the health sector. Young people in the health sector are trained in schools because, as you can imagine, we do not have companies there. That's a different system. So when I talk about the VET system now, I refer to the craft sector, but this also counts for all the other economic sectors in Germany, as I said, like the industry and the agriculture sector and so on. We have some basic principles, so to speak, in the VET system, which are important for you, in my opinion, to understand why we do it and how we do it. The first and most important of these principles is that we have in the initial training area, we have so-called holistic qualifications. What do I mean with that? When we define our training profiles, let's say, for example, for the roofer or the baker, there is not only one training profile we develop. There is only one training profile in Germany for roofers or for car technicians and so on. And this training profile is consistent not only of the competency profile for the profession, but it also contains things like personality development, citizenship education, and so on. So this is why we call it holistic qualification. We do not only refer to the profession, but we also train young people to prepare to be a member in this society. The second thing you might already have heard, we call this in Germany the dual training system. But with dual, we do not mean, like maybe in some of your countries, the combination of theoretical and practical training only, because we mean the practical training can be only done inside a company. So a dual training system means the in-company training combined with the vocational school education. And that second part is only theory. So in our vocational schools, you will not find a workplace because this is done by our companies. The third one is important as well. As we develop the training profiles on the national level, together with the social partners, with us, the social partners, meaning the representatives of companies and the representatives of the employees, these training profiles are directly related to the needs of the labor market. Because as you can imagine, we as the social partners define our training profiles exactly in the way we need them for the labor market. At the end of each training, you have the chamber examination and assessment, and this is directly under public law. So it's basically an official examination at the end. I will come to that a little later. Of course, if we allow training to be done inside a company, we have to tell the companies how to do that. So what we have in Germany is a mandatory qualification for the in-company trainers. So only in-company trainers who have this official mandatory qualification, we call it the trainer aptitude, only those companies are allowed to offer training places. And this is controlled by the chambers, the regional chambers in Germany. And to avoid to have only part qualifications, we have this training contract over the whole period of the vocational training. If you would like to become a car technician in Germany, this training profile or this training program in each company, wherever you are all over in Germany, it's 3 years training period, no matter if you are Munich, Hamburg, Frankfurt, or Berlin, and you have the training contract of the whole period. So you will not be able to get only part qualifications in every profession. It's not possible. You only have the training profile of this in average of this 3 years training program. So these are the basic principles of our vocational training system. Just to give you a nice picture overview, the bottom or the basement is, as I already said, we work closely together and on eye-to-eye level. So there is no superior or no other. We work together with the government, we meaning the chambers and the social partners. We are the basis of this vocational education and training. And then you have this dual system. So basically 2/3 on the left side, 2/3 of the training time is inside a company. So you learn directly in the job, being an employee in the company or trainee. And 1/3 is in the vocational school. So basically a typical training program is the 3 years car technician training program. You are inside the company for 1 or 2 weeks, and then you have 1 week vocational school, and this changes in the 3 years. I think I can quickly give you some numbers on this. The training profile, if you choose to be one of the if you choose for one of the let's say 130 different professions we have in the craft sector, for example, you choose to be a car technician, a roofer, a baker, hairdresser, whatever, you need to find a company offering a training place. It does not, formally, it does not depend on any school degrees. So even if in Germany, young people do not have any school degree, but they find a company offering them a training place, they can start the training profile, they can sign the contract. And only after someone signed the training contract with a company, then the vocational school has to offer the theoretical part. So basically, you only need to find a company offering you a training place, and after that, you go regularly to the vocational school and don't have to worry about that. They do not offer you any theory in the school. Basically, every second young people in Germany chooses this compared to the academic area. So we are about half and half. Half of the young people go to the university and half of the people go to the vocational training. As I said, it requires a contract with a company, only that. And then the vocational school, of course, is compulsory, but it's guaranteed by the school. We have, in average, as I said, 330 different professions. This is, as you can imagine, not very much. Compared to the universities, where in Germany right now you have about 18,000 different academic programs. In the vocational area, you only have the 330 different professions, about 130 of them in the craft sector. And this is because, as I said, we only have one possibility to become a baker in Germany. There's only one training program for the roofers. There's only one training program for the car technicians. And this is why we only have so little amount of different professions in Germany. Usually this training program inside the company takes 3, maybe 3.5 years. And in average, we pay young people who attend the training programs the average salary, but of course this depends on the profession, on the region, and on the contract, but in average you get about 800 euros per month. And at the end, as I said, there is the examination. The first question people always raise in this presentation is this: why on earth do companies pay young people to train them? They should be paid for offering them the training. The answer is very, very simple on this. It's basically a tradition in Germany. We have done this for decades and decades. So if you ask people on the street in Germany who should offer training, vocational training, they would say, of course, the companies. And if you ask them and who should pay for it, they also would say, well, of course, the company should pay the young people. But the reason behind it is maybe even more understandable, because as apprentices, young people who work in the company are productive, maybe not in the first year, but starting in the second year and especially in the third year. So the unwritten contract in this is that we offer the training in companies programs for 3 years to allow the companies especially in the third year, to get their investment back. Because as you can imagine, if you are trained for 1.5 or 2 years already, in the third year, you are quite productive in the company, but you still only get your average salary as a trainee. So this is the unwritten systematic approach in this vocational system in Germany. In one specialty in the craft sector is that we have a third training place next to the in-company training and next to the vocational schools. We call that the inter-company training, offered in our training centers. We have about 600 training centers in the craft sector. In these training centers, for let's say 2 or 3 weeks per year, young people from the regular vocational training program in the company get additional qualifications there. For example, as you can see the motorcycle in the middle, the latest technologies are trained in the training centers. If some small and medium-sized companies are not specialized in every different or every possible technology, then in the training centers, young people get this additional training as I said, in addition to the in-company training. But still, the system is, the basic training is in the regular workplace, in a regular company, for an average 3 years training. The funding of the system is maybe important for you to understand about why we do it and how we do it. As I said, the companies pay the regular allowance per month, and the company offers qualifications that is not only relevant in the single company, but in the whole sector. So if you are trained in a car technician company in, let's say, Berlin, the qualification is exactly the same as in the car technician company in Munich. And the implication is that if a company pays for the apprentice, then the company's interest is to use him in a productive way, because otherwise, if they would only cook some coffee or clean the floor, this would be not very effective. So the company has an own interest in using this training program in a very productive way. And on the other hand, if young people like you are trained inside the company, they learn a lot more efficient than in vocational schools, which is not the real workplace. So if they are part of the company, if they have direct contact with customers, if they have direct contact with their colleagues and see what they do in the real workplace, this is a lot more efficient, a lot more productive than learning something in schools. The conclusion of all this is that the net investments of the companies are not so high. Of course, they invest a lot in the vocational training, but they gain productive workers on the other hand. So it's basically a small investment in general. The government has the most advantage in this system, because they do not need to redistribute some money from one side to the other, and they do not need the labor market regulation. If you think about the economic sector, or let's say of car technicians in Berlin, the overall car technician companies in Berlin offer only that amount of training places that they need to offer for future employees. So of course, a lot of young people would like to become car technicians, even in Berlin. But if we would train all them in this profession without needing this amount of young people, that would not be very good for the labor market. And on the other hand, if the companies do not need as much young people, they would not offer all these training places. Of course, there are some professions that in a way are not that attractive. And this is the problem of the system. But that's why we help the system in convincing young people to choose these professions for their future career, because this is what the labor market needs. So we only train the amount of young people inside the companies that we need in the regional labor market. There's another huge advantage on this system, and scientists say that what we have as an advantage is, we call it the professional ethics. This means if young people are trained inside a company and dress like, for example, a roofer for their training period, and learn the job in the labor market, then this makes them a lot more proud to be in this profession than others who learned this only in school or only got a school degree. The other thing is that in Germany we train, we call it the autonomous craftsman. This means if you are trained as a roofer for 3 years in a company, then you know your profession completely. This means you are able to work on your own, alone at the customer. The example I always say is, if some customer comes to the car technician and says, my car is broken, please fix it, then they know what to do, no matter what is wrong with the car, no matter what car type it is. And the same is it with different professions. If you are trained as a roofer and somebody calls and says, my roof is broken, then you go there on your own and fix it, no matter if it is an old house, a new house, a flat roof or a steep roof, whatever. And the other thing is that the qualifications are determined in the wage system. So we train young people on the certain amount of qualification level, but of course then we have to pay for this afterwards if they are trained, and they get the salary that they earn in this. And all this linking up can not be provided by only one institution, for example, the state or the companies. This linking up and this complex system can only be run by all of us, meaning the chambers, the social partners, and the ministries as well. The role of the chamber is very crucial in this system and very important as the quality assurance institution. First of all, we have the compulsory membership in the chamber. This means every company by law has to be member of the training. And the system of the quality assurance in this is that, as I said, we have the labor market oriented training regulations. So the training program is directly related to the labor market. We have the consensus principle. This means that we work together with employers, trade unions, ministries, and schools. We have the advisory service by the chambers. I will come to that in a second. I already mentioned the intercompany training in our training centers and the examination. To give you the most important part of the exam at the end of the 3 years training period is this. No matter which car technician company trained you for 3 years, at the end, all trainees has to be examined by the chamber's examination boards. So, for example, in Berlin, there is one examination board for the car technicians all over Berlin, and they all pass the same exam. And this examination board, by law, consists of 3 different people, 3 different groups. First, representatives of the companies, of course, then representatives of the employees, and then the third party are the school teachers. So this examination board makes sure that the standard in the exam is exactly what the labor market requires. If the standard would be too high and people fail their exams, then immediately the companies will go to the chamber and say, well, we trained young people for 3 years, but the exam standard was too high. There must be something wrong. Or on the other hand, if the standards are too low, then immediately the companies will call the chambers and said, well, you say that somebody got your chamber degree at the end of the training program, but his qualification is not what's needed on the labor market. It's too low. So in your examination, there must be something wrong. So this quality assurance system in the chamber examination board is crucial to the vocational system in Germany. One most important service or role of the chamber is the advisory service, especially in the vocational training area. What we have is, as I said, we have the compulsory membership for companies. Every company by law has to be member in the chamber, either in the Chamber of Crafts or, as I said, in the Chamber of Industry. And by having this, the chambers can offer a huge range of consulting service, especially in the vocational and training sector. What we have is, we call that apprenticeship place searches. So people from the chamber go in the companies and ask them to offer training places if they do not offer training places yet. This means that people from the chamber know all the companies in their chamber region, and they look for companies who should offer training places, and then they help them in doing so. During the vocational training period of the 3 years, they offer advisory service for both, for the trainees as well as for the companies. We call them VET advisors. This service is free of charge in every chamber. For every company in Germany, they can go there and get advice during the whole training period. Then the chambers have what we call fitting adjusters. This is my translation. This means that the chamber people help the candidates and the companies to find each other. So if you are looking for a training place in your region in Germany, or if you are offering a training place as a company and you do not find the perfect candidate or the perfect company, then those chamber employees will help you doing the matching. And last but not least, we have mobility coaches. If someone would like to do a part of the vocational training across the border, this might not be very interesting for you, as you already know foreign countries when you are trained in Germany. Maybe one or two last remarks on our training regulations. This is the basic picture we have for how we develop a training regulation program for our professions in Germany. Take, for example, the painters. We had a training profile for the painting profession, which was not very modern anymore. It was like 8 to 10 years old. Then we gathered the relevant groups. We talked to the painting association, the association representing the companies. We talked to the social partner, to the trade unions, and of course we talked to the national ministries. And all these three institutions, the employers, the employees, and the government, we then built an expert group developing a new and modern and labor market relevant and labor market related training profiles for the painter. And since last year, we do have that, the new training profiles for the painter. This means that every company in Germany offering a training, in-company training for the painters, is using this modern and new training profile since then. And in 2 or 3 years, we will have the first chamber examinations for these modernized training profile all over Germany, and all painters in Germany are again qualified in the same training profile, no matter which company offers this training profile for them. Last 2 or 3 words, what happens afterwards, because the 3 years initial VET training is only the beginning. We have in Germany a system which is called, which is very permeable. This means maybe even in your country, this is what you know. You have one sector, this is called the academic sector, which is offered by the universities on the right side. And then you have the vocational training on the left side with the initial and the higher vocational training. In Germany, we combine those. For example, you can start the initial vocational training and even begin, for example, with your Master Craftsman course. As you know, we have this famous Meister qualification in Germany. This comes after the initial training. But we also have what we call dual studies. This means you get your vocational and university degree at the same time. This is for high class and very intense people who are looking to save time. You get 2 degrees at the same time. And we have even some university courses which are related to the Master Craftsman and vice versa. We have special studies for the craft sector in the university and so on. So the 2 pillars of the German education system, the academic and the vocational pillar, they are combined and they are very flexible with each other. So you do not have to decide for one or the other. You can even combine those 2. The classical and most known qualification we have in the craft sector is the Meister qualification. This is possible in almost 100 different professions. So you can become a Meister in the painting area, Meister in the car technician area, even a baker Meister qualification. This is the qualification where we train you to run a company and to train young people. It's basically divided in 4 different sections. It takes about 1, maybe 2 years to become a master craftsman. And in some crafts, in some profession, you do need this master craftsman qualification or an equivalent qualification to be allowed to run a company. Again, this is the example of the car technicians. If you would like to run a car technician company in Germany, you do need this master craftsman qualification in addition to the initial qualification that you have. So much for now. Questions?
Hello. Hi.
Yeah.
The microphone is on.
Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Voss. Thank you very much for your presentation. We have received some questions, and I think we are starting now our Q&A round. The first question goes to Mr. Voss. Where can I find a company who offers training places from outside Germany?
If you already know the region where you would like to go in Germany, then you go to the web page of the chamber. Living in Berlin, this is my usual example. There is a Chamber of Crafts in Berlin. Just Google it. You will find a Chamber of Crafts in Munich, in Hamburg, in Frankfurt. And on these web pages, there are all training places that are offered in this region. And as I said, most of our chambers, we have 53 different chambers in the craft sector in Germany. I think it's almost 70 different chambers in the industry sector, and the system is the same. Go to the chambers web page of your region and look for the training places on the web page. basically it's a very easy approach, and if you do not find the one that you need, you even, and this is classical, especially in the craft sector, you even can just call them or send them an email if you know that there is some company in, let's say, Munich that you know of, a baker or a car technician or roofer. Just send them an email and ask if they have training places if you do not find them on the web page of the chamber.
Thank you very much for the answer. And a really popular question in this round is if the vocational training is for any age.
Basically, yes. Formally, as I said, formally, even if you already are a German citizen, you do not need a school degree. You do not need a certain age. Of course, it helps if you are 18, because this is the age where you can do everything on your own in Germany. But we all we also have some elderly people doing a training program, let's say 30 or even 35. Again, this only depends on the partners of the contract. So if you know a company, if you find a company willing to offer you a training place, even if you are not in the classical, typical age of the beginning of the 20s, it doesn't matter. If you find a company offering you a training, that's okay. The only disadvantage might be, if you are a little older, that the one who gives you the training, so the in-company trainer, might be younger than you. And this, we heard, sometimes this might cause some challenges.
Okay, thanks. And maybe Ms. Köbler can answer, is there an age limit in the visa matter?
Yeah, so what I would like to add generally, there are actually two parts that need to be, that you need to have a look at. One part is the vocational training system itself. And for those who actually need a visa to come to Germany to do a training, also have to look at the requirements for this visa. For the visa for vocational training, there's also no age restriction, but there's another residence title or visa that I haven't covered yet, but there's an opportunity to come to Germany to look for a training company. Here we have the restriction of people under the age of 25. But if you find your training company and apply for a visa for doing this training in that company, there's no age restriction when we talk about the visa application.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, are we required to know how to speak German for the training?
Basically, in most of our companies, yes, in a way, it would help if you speak German. The latest would be in the exam, because the law says that if you pass or if you participate in the exam in Germany at the end of the 3 years training program, this exam is held in German, and the tests are written in German and you have to answer in German. We face some challenge there, we know that. Even with some migrants in Germany, they have difficulties and they need support, but you get support. And the experience we have with some refugees, for example, is that if you are really willing to do this, you get the support you need, and you can learn the language while you participate in the training program, because, as I said, it's only at the end of the 3 years training program. But especially, as you can imagine, especially in the craft sector, in companies, they basically speak German, but they help you in getting to know our lovely language.
I would like to add something as well here, because when talking about the language, for those who need a visa, it is actually required. I have mentioned that in my slide earlier, so when you download the presentation, you can reread it, but also we have it on our website. Maybe I share my screen and go to the section so you can also see where you can get those information. So for those who need a visa to come to Germany to do vocational training, they will have to prove a language level of at least B1. So I will show you. I hope you can see my screen. Daniela, can you give me a short sign?
Yes.
Perfect. As you can see here, I have already opened, I'm prepared, the visa section. I have chosen visa for training. I can click on it again. And then you can have, or you can read through the text, and it contains the requirements that you need to fulfill for your visa application. And here, for example, is also the information on the language skills. So everything we talk about here is on the one side, the visa requirements for those who need to apply for visa, and then the regulations for the vocational training system itself. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The next question is to Mr. Voss. What are professions that are less taken by young people in Germany?
Basically, we do have those lists. Maybe afterwards we can give you some information on that, because there are some professions where we need young people, and those are in general the professions which are not that attractive in in the way of living. For example, the baker, who has to get up very early, and professions which are very complicated in a way. So we need some installation technologists, we need the electronics, for example, and so on. So in the craft sector in general, we need everyone. We have about 18,000 training places which are not filled every year with young people. They are free, still not chosen by young people in Germany. So there are a lot of professions where you can find training places all over Germany.
Okay, thank you. Do you have also any training courses for the IT sector?
Yes, you can find all the different trainings, profiles or training professions. I will send you a link in a second.
Maybe you go further with the question.
Yes.
And Mr. Voss can...
Okay, because there's a question for you, Alexandra. If I come to Germany on a job seeker visa, then I find this vocational training place in the company. Would it count as a job in my field?
I would say no, because there is actually a visa for the purpose of looking for a vocational training. So the visa for the job seeker visa can only be changed into a visa for a qualified employment. Yeah, that would not be possible. If you intend to do vocational training and you want to come to Germany to look for a training place, then you have to choose the visa for seeking a place to train, or vocational training place. So this switch would not be possible. I have never heard of it, and I don't think it's possible by law.
Okay, thank you. And there are a lot of people asking, because there's some confusion for people from outside the EU. What should be the first step they should take? Looking for a training place, for example, or looking for the requirements? Maybe you both can answer the question, what are the tips for them?
Maybe I start and Mr. Voss can jump in if you can add something. So when you're outside of the EU and you will have to apply for a visa to come to Germany to do vocational training. The key of all of this is actually finding a training company, because this contract is the basis of your visa application. At the same time, as you heard before, your German language level has to be on B1 when you apply for the visa. So you actually, when you plan to come to Germany, can start learning German straight away. That will actually make applying at companies to be a trainee there even easier. So first of all, look into learning German. Start learn German straight away. You can also start learning online, and the application process, finding companies, applying there. This is probably what you have to do, or what makes sense to do the first. Then early enough, you should also gather information on what you need for the visa application. You can do so on Make It in Germany, as we said today, but please also contact your responsive German embassy, because it is also important. They are the authority that are in charge of your visa application, gather information at this German embassy in your home country, what you will need for a visa application. And then I would say another point that is also important, also get information on how long it would take for you to get an appointment for your visa. So these are the few steps in my perspective that you can already start with. Language, learning German, looking for a training company, and already research on the visa requirements.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Voss, do you want to add something for potential trainees?
Thanks.
Okay. The next question is there a limited date to apply for a training place in Germany?
A limit date. Normally, training programs in Germany start at the 1st of August or at the 1st of September. In average, people apply for those jobs, let's say, in the 12 months ahead. But we even have the possibility to start after that. You can start your training in, let's say, October or November, and jump in the classes. But in average, it starts at the 1st of August or the 1st of September, and those are the dates where the contracts start.
Thank you. The next question is, yes, is it possible to do a master's university program and vocational training all together?
Not the master, but the bachelor. Yes, this is what I said earlier. We call it the dual studies program, where in about, I don't know, 600 or 800 different dual study programs in Germany. You can find as well on some link I will send you in the chat in a minute. Yes, it's possible to, let's say it's not only 3, then it might be even 3.5 or 4 years, but you get those 2 degrees at the same time, your bachelor degree and the vocational degree from the chamber at the same time.
Thank you. Yes, there are a lot of individual questions. How to write? I think there is a question for Alexandra Kröbler. How much do we need to show money in coming to Germany for requirements in this vocational training?
So which or how much money needs to be covered for the financing? Yeah, that's a good question, very concrete. So The amount is yearly evaluated, and in case of, because earlier on my slide I showed you that in when we talk about in-company training, there's a training salary, as also Mr. Voss said in his presentation, and this salary, yeah, depending on how high it is, it can either completely cover your cost of living or your proof of finance, or it covers part of it, and then you can cover the difference through, for example, a blocked account or a declaration of commitment. Talking about the how, now how much. So in 2022, I have written it down because it's quite a strange number. We are talking about a monthly amount of 832 euros, which will be a yearly amount of 9,984 euros per year. So let's say you earn in your first salary 600 euros, or you get 600 euros out from your training, then you will still have to cover the difference, which will be in that matter 232 euros a month. So yeah,
so
this is something.
The easiest way would be to become a scaffolder, because the scaffolder earns more than 1,000 euros per month. Scaffolder companies pay even more than banks in Germany.
Wow.
Funny, but that's how it is. One of the highly paid vocational training program is the scaffolder. Gerüstbau.
Perfect. But for all the others, because of course all the other branches are looking for trainees as well, you can then cover the difference. There are different ways you can do so, and you definitely have to get information on this then also at your German embassy.
Okay, thank you. And the next question goes to Mr. Voss again. If you are accepted for a vocational training, are you paid also during your work time from the company on the top of 800 euros you are subsidized with?
Yeah, sure. If you have the training contract with a company, then you will get your monthly salary. It doesn't matter if you have a month where you go to vocational school for 3 weeks and in the company only 1 week, or if there is school vacation and you go 4 weeks to the company. This doesn't matter. For the whole 3 years training period, we have agreements between the social partners, so the trade unions and the associations, and they say how much you are paid in the first, in the second, and in the third year. Again, the example I just mentioned, the scaffolder, they get, I think, more than 1,000 euros in the first year, and so on. The hairdressers do not get that much, for example, but this depends on the salary agreement of the social partners for that profession, and it doesn't matter what you exactly do in that month. So you get that every month in Germany, the salary.
I would like to add something to salary and money and living expenses. I'm again covering those who come to Germany with a visa. So you are coming to Germany with the purpose of doing vocational training. That means the main purpose of your stay is vocational training and do the vocational training. But there is the possibility that when you're here and you, for example, want to work aside this vocational training, you are allowed to work up to 10 hours per week in a job that can just, help you to finance yourself. It is important that those 10 hours are not, that it's not more than that, because the purpose of your stay is this vocational training, and you will be very busy with this. So the vocational training will definitely fill your week, and this restriction is also there so you don't spend too much time on work and too little on your vocational education. So you are allowed, when you're here and you still want to work, and you still want to earn a little money on the side to cover your expenses, you're allowed to work 10 hours per week with the visa for, or the residence permit for vocational training. This is also, by the way, information you can find on the website.
Thank you. So the next question is, how can I access a company in Germany on vocational training in either automobile or car painting? Do you have any practical tips?
Again, in my opinion, the first approach should be that you think about a region where you would like to do that in Germany, because Germany is not the same wherever you go. We have the hilly area in the south. We have some water in the north, and in Berlin there basically is nothing, no hills, no sea. So this is the approach. First of all, have a look at the map, for example, or have a look at the internet, and then do this approach. Look for companies. Call the chamber, helping you finding the right company. Do have a look at companies that offer training places on their own web pages, for example. So there is a system, a guidance system around this, and the two approaches are, first of all, as I said, the chamber in general, and then have a look at the map and look for companies and try to find out if they offer training places for foreigners.
And maybe also a tip when talking about the choosing the region. Of course, many people are attracted by big cities like Berlin or Cologne, where we are actually. But it is also worth to look at smaller cities outside of the big cities. The living expenses are often a bit cheaper. Companies are really looking for good trainees. So this is maybe a tip for you, that don't only focus on the big cities, also go a bit outside. By the way, Germany is also very beautiful outside of the cities, so you might want to have a look at this as well.
And maybe in addition, as we have a very German approach on things, we also have associations for our companies. It's a long tradition from starting from the guilds in the Middle Ages that companies group together. So of course we do have an association of the painters in Germany. We do have an association of the car technicians. Do have a look on the web pages of these associations. For example, the car painting association is the same as the painters. It's the web page is called farbe.de, meaning color, color.de, farbe.de, and there you can find the underlying associations in the region. So the, as I said, the guilds. And if you look at, let's say, the rural areas that Ms. Köbler just mentioned, and for example, you would like to live and work near Munich in the south, in the rural area, then try to find the Innung, meaning the guild in that area, and they know all the companies in that area.
Okay, thank you. The next question, I think, I don't know, maybe it's more for Alexandra. Do you have any statistics last year of how many from non-EU countries applied for the vocational training visa? Maybe the migration report gives some answers to this question.
It could. Maybe you can go further, and I'm looking for the, because it is published every year, the migration report. I can have a look if they also cover the numbers of the vocational training. Of course, the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs has those statistics, but they don't publish them. But it could be that I find the report where they do. Maybe you go on and I look.
Yes, there are some other questions,
Perfect.
so you can post it in the chat later if you like.
Maybe I've stopped sharing my screen.
Yes.
So I can research.
Okay. So the next question goes to Mr. Voss. Is the vocational trainee all day? How many hours usually? Because I have a son, can I have the time for looking for school at home also during a vacation?
Normally, it's like this. We have in Germany, we have the regular working day, which is 8 hours. But if there are school days, then apprentices do not have to go in the company after school. So, for example, if there is a school week and school goes from 8 to, let's say, 2 in the afternoon, then that's it. They don't have to go to the company. But especially for those who have young children or elderly people to care about or any other topic, of course, we do have the possibility to do a part-time vocational training. This, of course, means that it's not only 3 years, but it takes a little longer. But there are possibilities, and there is a supporting system for those programs. If you are under special circumstances, for example, young children, as you were mentioning, or different things, there is the possibility to do a part-time, part-working time program in Germany, and there is a support system for this, helping you in organizing that and even helping you in financial matters. Because as you can imagine, a part-time vocational training will only get part of the salary. But as I said, we have a huge interest in helping those special groups in fulfilling their requirements in the way they need it.
Thank you. The next question is it possible for someone who has a university degree in informatics to apply for a vocational training in Germany?
Possible is everything in Germany. And the interesting thing would be what additional qualification you might need, because if you already have a degree, then you could ask what's needed in the companies and what's relevant in the labor market. But of course, if you say, I would like to start again, very typical in Germany is since some years is that as all over the world, young people run to university instead of vocational training. They find out that the academic way is not theirs, so they switch. And we have some very interesting regional projects or approaches where even if you do not have finished any academic degree but have parts and some pieces of this qualification, this is recognized at least in the time of the training program. This means you do have to do the chamber exam at the end, but you might not have to take the whole 3 years. It might be reduced to 2 years or 1.5 years. But of course, everything is possible, and they in the region they will help you to find the perfect fitting company for this.
Okay, thank you. So
I have sent the link into the chat. Yeah, I found the report of the BAMF, the Federal. I'm out of words. I've mentioned it before. Federal Office for Migration and Refugees. So many federal offices. So I've sent the link into the chat so everyone can have a look at it.
How can I send my links into the chat?
You already sent one. I have seen you have sent one to the dual study programs. Ah, I see. You have only sent it to the organizers. You can also send it to the whole chat, but I can do it for you now. Wait a minute. But we have the next question. This would be for Alexandra.
Mm-hmm.
Can we take family with us if we get the visa for vocational training?
So the thing about the family reunification is that you have to prove that you can finance the living of you and your family members. I have to admit, I would have to read into the regulations by law if you can bring your family, but I think that it will be hard to cover the living expenses of you and your family members with your vocational training salary. So maybe if you want to read into it, we also have a section about family and bringing your family to Germany on Make It in Germany on our website. So there you can read close information on this. But as I said, it could be possible by law. I'm not certain about this, but it will be difficult to fulfill the requirements that it brings.
Okay. Thank you. The next question.
Please forward my second one
Yes.
as well, because I don't have the possibility to send it to everyone, only to the organizers.
It could be because we changed the rights, because
yeah, this could be, yes.
I can't send it to everyone, so we'll forward your link.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next question is, how easy is it to switch from an economics background to engineering vocational training?
This is what I called holistic qualifications. As you might can imagine, that the trade unions are very interested in that the profession that you learn is not too narrow on the economic sector. So yes, of course, it is possible, and companies are very interested in that if you are trained in one profession, that it's very easy to get to know a different profession. And as you are trained in a holistic way, in a very wide range, you are very much used to learn new things with the background that you have. So yes, the answer is in general that of course, if you are trained in one economic sector, you can easily adapt to different sector. The classical example is one of the best known professions, the car technician in Germany, can very easy switch to different professions, for example, to the motorcycle technician or to the agriculture technician or to the truck technician. Do you still hear me? I get a red warning that I have problems.
We hear you perfectly.
Okay, so if you can still hear me, then the answer to the question is yes. As we have this holistic approach, and that we have, when we have only one profession for each economic area, it's very easy, or it's quite easy to change the working area or the economic area and get some minor additional qualification, but basically you don't have to formally do that.
Thank you.
I would want to add something on the question about the family reunification. In those cases, you can also always call the hotline Working and Living in Germany. I showed it on my slides, but you can also easily find it on the website itself straight away. There you can call and ask questions like this in German and English. If you're not certain about your individual questions, call there. There are experts there for exactly this, and they will give you proper information and advice on those questions. Just to help you further with your question that I could not fully reply to.
Okay, thanks. There are some questions left. I think we have another 5 additional minutes. The next question is maybe this you can answer it. It's a bit individual. From India, after school, can one attend a training program and also learning B1 German? Is this sufficient for a visa application?
So yeah, it doesn't depend on the non-EU country itself. The regulation is the same for everyone. Of course, it's possible for you as an Indian citizen living in India to learn German, achieve level B1, apply for a training at a training company in Germany, and then prepare for your visa. Of course, that's possible. And as I said in my presentation, you can also plan a preparatory German language course in Germany. So maybe you want to read into this as well. If it's not possible for you to reach a B1 level before your visa application, then you can have a look at it if this would be an option for you. That would mean that you can you would apply for this preparatory course, German language course, and you would do it before starting your vocational training in Germany already.
Thank you. I think to Mr. Voss again, is it easy to get a vocational training in Germany if I have previous work experiences in that specific field gained in my home country?
It will definitely help. I'm very sure, because of course, as you can imagine, for companies, it's a lot more interesting to have people who are already interested in that profession. This is why the typical approach we have after school is that young people show their willingness and ability in the professions in some short periods of time. We call them practical training for, let's say, 1 week or 2 weeks in the school holidays, where they work in the companies and show their eagerness to work in this profession. So yes, this will definitely help. And if you can show that you're already interested in especially this profession, yeah, definitely.
Okay, thanks. And I think we have the last question. So I will close the chat for this. We answer one question, and maybe Alexandra, you can show the ways of contact again on our website later, because there are also some questions regarding this topic. So the last question goes again to Mr. Voss. Is there any vocational training in the business field available?
Interesting question. What might the business field mean? If you mean what we say kaufmännisch, yes, of course, there are, as I said, there are two basic different sectors in Germany, but we have the same system of training. And one is the craft sector, one is the industry sector, and both sectors need, of course, businessmen and businesswomen. So we do have qualifications in this field in how to do, let's say, controlling or human resources or whatever. So yes, there are in-company trainings for those. They are called kaufmännisch. If you, let's say, and if you follow the link to the BIP, BIBB that you, thank you, sent to all of the ones outside listening to us, yes, there are those, and you can find those training programs in basically every company, especially maybe not the smallest company, but the medium-sized companies, every huge bakery, every huge car company, every huge hairdressing company needs businessmen and businesswomen to run the company, so to organize the company. So yes, you can find those training programs on the Chamber's website, maybe more on the Chambers of Industry than the Chambers of Crafts, but also in our sector, yes.
Thank you very much. So this was the last question. Thank you all for participating in our webinar. And we have also received quite positive feedback so far in the chat, and I'd like to read out one loud. You are awesome individuals. Thank you for enlightening us.
Oh,
so
wow.
thank you very much for your kind words, and thank you, Mr. Foss, for giving us this really helpful input today. We will upload this webinar on our YouTube channel within the next week, so check our YouTube channel regularly to watch it again. And now Ms. Köbler will show you on how to contact us if you have further questions.
Yes, so for this, I will share my screen a last time. I hope you can see it.
Yes, we can see it.
And so you're on the start page of Make It in Germany, and there are different ways to find the contact sessions. Either you just scroll down and you find this, this icon, so to say, and you can click on the single icons to contact us. But I show you a second way as well. In the menu up here under Service, and then Contact Us, and I'm going to click on it so you can see how it looks. You find the possibility to write us an email. There's a chat that you can use, and there is the hotline that you can call in German and English. With the opening hours, of course, because there are people sitting in offices and we all don't have the same time, so there's always a countdown that tells you when you can call. So I think that's it, right?
That's it, right. Thank you very much. And yes, this was it for today, and we see us in our next webinar. You can check our dates regularly on our website on Make It in Germany. So thank you again, Mr. Voss, and have a nice week all together, and stay healthy. Bye.
Bye-bye.